Xiaoye glanced at her and said, "Can't nuns have children?" Xiao Ding's face turned red, and he returned to the back with shame, and he laughed in his heart. Xiaoxie shouted again, "Change the taste, let's talk nonsense, now I ask you, as long as you answer interestingly, I will reward you with silver, pay attention." He looked around and said, "I have 2 children, do you think he is?" "It's the 2 above, at home, in the stomach, me. Boom! The crowd laughed to themselves. When the little evil heard this, he shouted, "That's right, the kid is here to get a reward." And the one who walked by was a 60-year-old man, who was still smiling, and took 100 taels of silver back. Xiaoxie said again, "One day when you were going up the pit, suddenly someone knocked on the door, guess what? How to answer? There's someone inside, I'm not okay, you look for another room," and suddenly one of them shouted, "Come in." Xiaoxie immediately shouted, "That's right, don't forget that when you go up to the pit, someone knocks on the door and asks for come in, understand?" Xiaoxie smiled and said, "May I ask the first sentence of the candle night in your cave room, what do you want to say best?" "Alas, Bud has a guy who asks for food." "Ha ha!" Xiaoxie and the others laughed. The little evil said, the man finished answering and changed to the woman. He walked over to the woman. "Want to get a perfect answer?" It's a pity that the woman is more embarrassed and doesn't dare to answer. The little evil said secretly, "What?" He was fishing again, and he said, "Listen, I'll give you a little advice, if someone is beaten half to death, and he comes to you again after he is healed, what will you say?" One of them suddenly cried out, "The damned one is coming again!" "Ha!" Everyone smiled in return. The little evil shouted, "That's right, don't forget to tell your husband when you spend candle night in the cave room, don't die again, hee hee." Soon Xiaoxie had already taken out the silk ball and said with a smile, "Everyone, I want to be a beggar in Wang Bao's dump back then, who has been guarding the tile for 18 years, and today I will also taste the taste of guarding the tile cave, who wants me to throw it away." He walked towards the woman. There was a commotion and the women had retreated, but it was not easy for people to retreat. All of them covered their faces with their hands, and snickered from time to time, and peeked at Xiaoxie from time to time, because they also hoped that Xiaoye's big hydrangea would go to themselves. A man shouted, "Fortune God, your ball is really big." The little evil shouted, "It's good to be big. Someone will be suppressed by me sooner or later, hee hee. Girl, open your face. It's you." Xiaoxie had already sent the ball to a young woman in Xingyi. Wow! There was a big commotion, like a herd of cattle scattering. The man laughed endlessly, and even Xiaoding was laughing. "Ah!" almost screamed in shock. The ball had settled, and the little evil also swept forward from the stage to see who had won the prize, who knew that as soon as he picked up the ball, he didn't know what to do, and laughed embarrassedly. "Ha ha!" The crowd of women around him covered their mouths and smiled. Xiaoxie scolded in his heart, "What are you playing with?" He took the hydrangea and ran back. His heart was really not the taste. The old woman couldn't dodge before being pressed, only to see her twisting her waist and shouting, "Dead small watch, Others don't lose it. He wants to be old. Hydrangea is not small, it makes my waist hurt so much. She also laughed after scolding. Xiaoding also laughed. She looked at Xiaoxie with affection, but she actually felt that only Xiaoxie could do this kind of thing. The little evil was really not convinced, and he shouted, "Hey, how can you girls escape? Hee hee. Not this time, do it again." Ha ha. The crowd was made to laugh out of their mouths. Xiaoxie learned to be obedient this time, and no matter how big the ball was, as soon as he picked it up, he threw it at the female crowd, and the ball was like a red cloud, sweeping through the air and covering the crowd. Wow! Was still a commotion and a miscellaneous scream. Someone has been hit by a hydrangea. I don't believe I can't suppress a woman. And he walked towards the ball. Everyone applauded, and the little evil finally pressed people. A total of 6 legs are exposed under the hydrangea and there are 3 people. Xiaoxie picked up the silk ball and looked at it and exclaimed, "Mom!" Fainted. Xiaoxie smiled embarrassedly, but muttered in his heart, "My mother can't see a woman, and when she sees it, she will be full of luck." As soon as he stretched out his hand to wake up the 3 girls, 2 thin and 1 fat, their posture was mediocre. The 3 girls were shocked, and when they saw that the enemy was extremely angry, "Ah!" screamed, and the 3 of them had already hit the little evil with their pink fists and legs. Everyone laughed again, pointing and pointing. The little evil was really upside down. Wow! Xiaoxie didn't dare to fight back in a hurry, and rushed back to the stage like a water dog. The other girls also made a hand, throwing paper balls, wood chips, and stones, all at the little evil, and laughing from time to time. In fact, in the minds of these women, there is no estrangement between Xiaoye, just like a sister to a younger brother, because Xiaoye's every move makes people feel so close, especially his smiling mouth, which makes people like to be with him. Otherwise these 3 weak women would not dare to fight back Xiaoye. But the little evil is the most miserable time he escaped. As soon as he jumped on the stage, Xiaoxie immediately shouted, "What a misery!" Xiaoding laughed and said, "What's the little evil is Wang Beizu in the spot hee hee." She was also amused by this play. Xiaoxie shouted, "Grandma, Wang Beio is not good at being a thief. I think you should be Shui Pingui." As soon as the words fell, the ball was thrown to Xiaoding. Wow! Xiaoding wanted to hide, but it came too suddenly and she had to reach out to shoot, but as soon as her hand stretched out, the Zhangman point on her waist had been hit by Xiaoxie's volley. In this way, she seems to reach for the hydrangea instead of slapping it. When Xiaoxie saw it, he immediately turned to everyone and shouted, "Clap! Clap! Someone has picked up." The crowd burst into applause. They thought that this was a play deliberately arranged by Xiaoxie, and they also echoed it to praise Xiaoxie's scene. Xiaoxie raised his hand to thank him, and then he unlocked Xiaoding's A-cup ointment. Xiaoding's face was flushed, and she was embarrassed to walk back to the back with the hydrangea in her arms. This kind of mood can only be felt by Xiaoding himself, and others can only understand it. From the hustle and bustle to the calm. From late afternoon to late at night. The little evil has already dispersed all his belongings, and even the bounties of the beggar gang disciples have been distributed together, and the three of them are exhausted. The crowd laughed heartily, forgot their troubles, and left with beautiful memories. Knocking on the 3 watches at night, the moon has slanted to the west, the stars are sparse, people go to the air, barking dogs, Xiaosuo's cold wind hits the lonely tree, whispering about the lonely night, and the world's customers are stunned where to go. The 3 of them also walked back to the Chang'an Inn, and they were tired without taking off their shoes. The little evil has left an indelible memory for Chang'an City, and it is a sweet memory. I believe that as long as someone thinks of him, they will laugh dumbly. As long as there is laughter, they will also think of Yang Xiaoxie. He will always bring happiness to people. Because he doesn't know what pain is, troubles are not troubles for him, because he can shake them off, he can avoid them, and he can accept them. Today he was tired, but it was undeniable that he was tired of joy. What could be happier than being exhausted by joy? No. No one can do this, only happy people can do this, and except for the little evil in the world, it should be counted as his group of all eat it all friends. The 5th watch has passed, and the east has been white. Yesterday is gone, and today is again. And there is no trace of it in the inn. As soon as Xiaoxie woke up, he found that Xiao Ding was gone, so he immediately shook Xiaoqi awake and asked, "Xiaoqi, have you seen Xiao Ding?" Xiaoqi was also a flurry, and immediately shook his head to indicate that he had not seen Xiao Ding. Xiaoxie asked again, "Then did you hear anything unusual yesterday?" Xiaoqi still shook his head. Xiaoxie walked to Xiao Ding's bed to look at it, and touched the bed quilt again. I thought to myself, Xiao Ding didn't leave for a long time, the heat of the quilt was not lost, and the things were not taken away. Where will she go buy things, go to find Fang Remnant, or was she robbed? I have to find Fang Remnant first. As soon as I thought about it, he had already run out with Xiaoqi. Under the guidance of the beggar disciples, he quickly found Fang Yan. Xiaoxie hurriedly said, "Old beggar, did you see Xiao Ding today?" Fang Yan didn't understand that Han Ling was called Xiao Ding again. He didn't understand, who is Xiao Ding? Xiao Evil said, "Xiao Ding is your little master Han Ling."